It's usually in some of the bottles.
I've never actually heard of it, but then I'm not a beer drinker.
I actually had some in the pub a few days ago as well, come to think of it.
Which pub's that you drink it, Bob?
Oh, this was the Tappet Hen in Dunblane.
Oh, in Dunblane. Right.
We was having a mini trip out.
Right.
Right, how are we doing? Can anybody tell me if they're missing any team members?
Oh, we're all here.
We're all here.
Yeah. Somebody talking and doesn't realise she's muted, I don't think, Heather.
Well, we've lost half our team to holidays, but we've gained another, so we've got 3 in our team tonight.
Yeah, but Douglas isn't all here.
No, I'm not all.
Never all here.
Penny's as sharp as a very blunt tack tonight.
What is he like?
Which beer are you on, Douglas?
Must be very strong.
It's my own wine.
What's your own wine, right? Okay.
Well, that's definitely.
Oh, that explains it.
That's definitely strong, then.
Well, nobody says they're not here, so we've at least got representatives from every team.
Okay.
So,
do you want me to start, or do you want me to leave it a minute or two in case anybody else is going to join us?
I think you'd leave a couple of minutes. I suppose it is only 19:01, I should say, on my computer.
Yeah, mine says the same.
Yes.
We'll leave it a couple of minutes just in case anybody's missing. Has any team got somebody they're still expecting to arrive?
Waiting on reinforcements.
Then 3 and 4 we're going to a dance.
and usually we've got 3 people in one room from Dunelm. Does that mean your team is just 3, or are you still contacting somebody else through some other means? Ah, 4.
There's 4 of them.
Team? Wow, lockdown must be easy, and the whole team's there.
There's 5 of them.
There's 5. One of them must be a silent partner.
One of them just leaving the room by the look of it.
To chase you away, honestly, we trust you. Well, we definitely know Daniel here then.
We do.
Right. I think we're ready to go whenever you like.
You think we're ready to go? Okay. Well, can we make sure everybody else bar me is muted, please? Because I don't have the host thing on here.
Recording in progress. Yep.
Right.
Just a minute.
That's us. Well, before we start, could I just thank all the teams who responded to the request for ideas for varying the content of the various rounds that we have. And you'll find, as I said in the email that Linda sent out along with the link, that I have taken some of these on board, and we have indeed some rounds that were suggested by teams from last month. And of course, there are still other options that I couldn't fit in this month that I'll try to fit in future. However, now I have to start by sharing my screen. Well, first of all, let me make sure I've got this at the right place. Because I don't want to start by giving you the beginning of of round 6. Okay, so I'll start sharing my screen now. Assume it'll come up. There we are, from beginning. And round 1, we're still around these islands. I keep managing to find something else about this. And so this month, I have Photographs of famous sites around these islands, places, things. Please identify what each one is. So I'll just put each one up for maybe 15 seconds or so and let you see if you can work out where they are. Here we go, number one. No clues about any of these. You just get to see the photographs and see what you can know, see which ones you can recognize. Having said that, there's a visible clue in this one. Number two. That's probably the hardest one.
Sorry, Ian, can I just clarify? You want the place?
I want to know.
Or
I want to know the name of the place or the. Be as specific as possible, please. If there's a building, what's the building? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Most of these will be human. In fact, I think they're all human constructions of one kind or another. What's the name of the building or object that you're seeing? Number two. Probably the hardest one, I think. And now possibly the easiest. Number four.
Ian, it's not giving us much time to.
Sorry, I was counting to 15 slowly.
Yeah, it's not really giving us much time to each compare
Right.
ideas.
Then I'll start counting to 30 then. Number five. I will give you one clue for this one, which is that this castle was used in the film Braveheart to represent the walled city of York. Number six. 7. Eight. It's maybe not quite the normal angle you see this one from, but there you go. Number 9. And number 10. Okay, I'll just go right back through them all again. Give you a few more seconds on each one. Number 1. Two. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 9, 10. Okay, does any team need any more time to think, or shall I give you the answers? Thumbs up if you're ready for the answers.
Ian, can we have a few more minutes, please?
Yes, of course. And that's why I'm giving you the option.
Thank you.
If you want to look at any particular slide, let me know.
Two, please, Ian.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest one. You might get a wee clue as to where it is if you have a wee check to see where you're, how many you've got from Scotland, England, Ireland, and Wales, and see if there's anything that's a bit short. Ready yet, Moira?
I'm not sure that any more time is going to help us, actually.
Okay. In that case, I'll give you the answers. Number 1 is the GPO in O'Connell Street in Dublin. It's the Dublin GPO. And the wee clue there is the Irish flag flying above. Number 2 is the Roman amphitheatre at the Legere Fortress of Caerleon in South Wales. Number 3 is the Laxey Wheel on the Isle of Man. It's why I got one from this side and not the other side, because if you get the photograph from the other side, it's got the Isle of Man, the 3 legs of the Isle of Man visible on it. Number 4 is Neptune's Staircase near Fort William on the Caledonian Canal. Number 5 is Trim Castle in County Meath. Number 6 is the Liver Building in Liverpool. Number 7 is probably the finest castle of its type in Britain, Beaumaris Castle on the Isle of Anglesey. Number 8 is Discovery Point, Dundee, with the Discovery ship there. Number 9 is the Titanic Museum in Belfast. And number 10 is the Eden Project in Cornwall. So as usual, if you could tot up your scores and send them to Linda by private chat. And then I'll move on to round 2 in a moment, which is called technology. This was one of the things that one of the teams asked for, was to have a round in technology. So you now have one in technology, which is going to be defined fairly broadly. Some of it will be IT related, but some of it will not. Straightforward questions this time. Number 1. In technology, what do the initials VOIP stand for? In technology, what do the initials VOIP stand for? Number 2. While walking in the Alps, a Swiss engineer called Georges de Mestral observed that burrs from the burdock plant were sticking to his clothing and to the coat of his dog. This started him thinking, what did he invent as a result? Something that you're likely to be very familiar with. While walking in the Alps, a Swiss engineer called Georges de Mestral observed that burrs from the burdock plant were sticking to his clothing and to the coat of his dog. This started him thinking, what did he invent as a result? Number 3. Which computer programming language was named for a 17th century French mathematician, physicist, and philosopher? Which computer programming language was named for a 17th century French mathematician, physicist, and philosopher? Number 4. What name is used for a computer program that controls the operation of a device such as a printer or scanner? And I know I'm using the American spelling of program, but that's the way that computer people tend to spell the word when used in that context. What name is used for a computer program that controls the operation of a device such as a printer or scanner? And for number 5, when I found out about this one, I just had to include it. If nothing else, we'll all learn something. Discovered by divers in a shipwreck in 1901, the ancient Greek mechanical device using cogwheels, gears, and dials called the Antikythera has been called the first analog computer. In what scientific discipline was it probably used? Discovered by divers in a shipwreck in 1901, the ancient Greek mechanical device using cogwheels, gears, and dials called the Antikythera has been called the first analog computer. In what scientific discipline was it probably used? Number 6. In the late 18th century, Samuel Crompton of Bolton in Lancashire invented a cotton spinning machine that used elements of William Hargreaves' spinning jenny and Richard Arkwright's water frame. What was the name of the new machine? In the late 18th century, Samuel Crompton of Bolton in Lancashire invented a cotton spinning machine that used elements of William Hargreaves' spinning jenny and Richard Arkwright's water frame. What was the name of the new machine? Number 7. Its name invented in 1974 by the Japanese scientist Norio Taniguchi. What do we call the manipulation of matter at atomic and molecular levels for purposes including the creation of materials with special properties? Its name, invented in 1974 by the Japanese scientist Norio Taniguchi. What do we call the manipulation of matter at atomic and molecular levels for purposes including the creation of materials with special properties? Number 8. What name is given to a computer central processing unit that contains 2 separate processors working at the same time? What name, or if you prefer description, is given to a computer central processing unit that contains 2 separate processors working at the same time? Number 9. Which form of short-range wireless technology is named after a 10th century king of Denmark? Many of us may have devices which use it. Number 9, which form of short-range wireless technology is named after a 10th century king of Denmark? And number 10, which development in transport technology resulted from experiments in the early 1950s using a coffee tin, a cat food tin, and a hairdryer? And this time I'm not giving the name of the scientist because that would absolutely give it away. So which development in transport technology resulted from experiments in the early 1950s using a coffee tin, a cat food tin, and a hair dryer. And as usual, if anyone wishes to hear a question again, let me know and I'll give you it.
6, please, Ian.
6 it is. In the late 18th century, Samuel Crompton of Bolton in Lancashire invented a cotton spinning machine that used elements of William Hargreaves' spinning jenny and Richard Arkwright's water frame. What was the name of the new machine? And somebody is not muted and therefore can be heard.
Astronomy or maths?
We can hear somebody speculating about an answer.
I've muted somebody, it might help.
Might.
Ian, can we have 5 and 7 again, please?
You can. Here's 5 first of all. Discovered by divers in a shipwreck in 1901, the ancient Greek mechanical device using cogwheels, gears and dials called the Antikythera has been called the first analog computer. In what scientific discipline was it probably used? And number 7, its name invented in 1974 by the Japanese scientist Norio Taniguchi. What do we call the manipulation of matter at atomic and molecular levels for purposes including the creation of materials with special properties?
Could I have number 4, please?
You could have number 4.
Thank you.
What name is used for a computer program that controls the operation of a device such as a printer or scanner?
Ian, sorry, could we have number 5 again, please?
5.
Yes, please. I know you've just shown it, but please could you show it again?
It is.
Thank you. Thanks.
Linda tells me she has all the scores for round 1 except Woollerton. So could Woollerton please send Linda the score?
Oh, can I have the one about William Hargreaves? I'm not sure what number.
That's the one.
That's it. Thank you.
Okay, can you let me know when you're ready for the answers?
Ian, could we have a number 4 again, please?
Certainly.
Thanks.
Are we all ready? If I don't hear from anybody shortly, I'll assume that we are ready to go and give you the answers.
As ready as ever, I think. You're challenging them this week.
Could be. But then they did ask for these questions, or at least for these themes. Okay, number one, the initials VoIP stand for Voice over Internet Protocol. Number two, Georges de Mestral invented Velcro. Number three, the computer programming language named after this French mathematician, physicist, and philosopher is Pascal. Number four, this computer program that controls the operation of a device like a printer or scanner is known as a driver. Number five, the Antikythera was almost certainly used in astronomy. It can also be used, incidentally, in working out calendars. It can actually help you to create a calendar, or at least it couldn't when the Greeks had it working. Number six, Samuel Crompton's machine, because it was a combination of two others, Crompton called his machine the mule, the spinning mule. Number seven, the manipulation of matter at atomic and molecular levels we know as nanotechnology. Number eight, computer CPU that contains two processors working at the same time is called a dual core process CPU. Number nine, the short range wireless technology is Bluetooth. And number 10, I love the fact that Sir Christopher Cockerell developed this in this way. It's hovercraft. So once again, if you could tot up your scores and send them to Linda by the private chat. We'll give a moment for that before I move on to round three, which, as you'll see, is called film quotations. This is another request round.
Ooh. Got 2 10s.
Excellent. Pleased to hear it.
No, me thinking it was dead hard. So I got about 2. And I've heard them all before.
Okay, round three, film quotations. I'm going to give you the quotation and the year of the film's release. In each case, just identify the film the quotation comes from. Should be a bit of fun. Number one, I have actually quite deliberately not gone for the most famous quotation from this film, but see how you go with this one. From a film of 1989, when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible. By the way, all of these came from a website which was the American Film Institute's 100 most famous movie quotations. But there is actually an even more famous quotation than this one from this film. When you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible. And the film was released in 1989. Obviously, the fact that it's the American Film Institute's list suggests that these are likely to be films made in the States, probably most of them in Hollywood. Okay, let's move on to number two. From 1997, You Make Me Want to Become a Better Man. film of 1997. Spoken by a very, 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 very famous person. You Make Me Want to Become a Better Man, film released 1997. Number 3, Just One Stomach Flew Away from My Goal Weight, film of 2006. I'm Just One Stomach Flew Away from My Goal Weight, 2006. Next one's a bit of a gimme. Everybody, I'm sure, will know this one. Nobody's Perfect, film of 1959. Possibly one of the most famous of all film quotations. So I'm expecting a high correct rate on that one. Maybe not quite so high in the next one. I Have Always Depended on the Kindness of Strangers, from a film made in 1951. I resisted the temptation to say it in a southern US accent. I Have Always Depended on the Kindness of Strangers, 1951. Next one, a wee bit more modern. Not bad, I'm just drawn that way. 1988. And there is a clue in the quotation. Number 7. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist. Film of 1995, a very, very good film of 1995. I enjoyed that one thoroughly. The greatest trick the devil ever pulled, was convincing the world that he didn't exist. Film of 1995. Number 8. I am big. It's the pictures that got small. From a film of 1950. So I Am Big. It's the pictures that got small, from a film of 1950. Number 9, oh no, it wasn't the airplanes, it was Beauty that killed the beast, from a film of 1933.
It's a Kevin Smith film. It's not mine.
And somebody's unmuted.
Right, I muted them.
And finally, number 10, Get Busy Living or Get Busy Dying, 1994 film. And as usual, if you want to see any of them again, let me know and I'll go back to them.
Could you go through them all again, please? Ian?
Certainly can, yes, that's not a problem.
Yes, please. Seconded on that one.
Number 1, when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible, a 1989 film. Number 2, You Make Me Want to Become a Better Man, film of 1997. Number 3, I'm Just One Stomach Flew Away from My Goal Weight, film of 2006. Number 4, Nobody's Perfect, from 1959. Number 5, I Have Always Depended on the Kindness of Strangers, 1951. Number 6, I'm Not Bad, I'm Just Drawn That Way, 1988 film. 7, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist, 1995 film. Number 8, I Am Big, the pictures that got small, a famous film of 1950. Number 9, oh no, it wasn't the airplanes, it was Beauty that killed the beast, 1933. And finally, Get Busy Living or Get Busy Dying, 1994. Again, let me know when you're ready and I'll go through the answers. But before I do, I'll stop sharing and maybe Linda can give us the scores for rounds 1 and 2 together while you're still thinking. Oh, Airheads 1 in the lead from Dunelm. Woollerton don't appear to have arrived.
No, I don't think they're here.
Right.
I didn't take them off. Thought I'd wait so we could check, but I don't think they're here.
Okay. Could you please make sure that the scores that you sent to Linda have been entered accurately? Round 1 was maybe a wee bit trickier than I thought it was, but round 2 stood up well.
And I would like to know whether the Paisley Buddies are still on the road on the M80. Because they must have found a picture round extremely hard.
Yeah, they must have done. Wonder how they'll do with the next round.
Mm.
Sound. Okay, some pretty high scores there though, quite impressive. I'll reshare. Right, we're ready for the answers? Oh, that's number 3. Right, number 1 comes from, well, the quotation I decided not to use because it's even more famous than this one was, "I'll have what she's having," and it's When Harry Met Sally. Number 2, "You Make Me Want to Become a Better Man," spoken by Jack Nicholson in the 1997 film As Good as It Gets. Number 3, I could understand it if some people thought that might have been Bridget Jones' Diary, but it's actually The Devil Wears Prada. Number 4, "Nobody's Perfect" is from Some Like It Hot. Number 5 is Blanche Dubois speaking to the Marlon Brando character in A Streetcar Named Desire. Number 6, and not bad, I'm just drawn that way, was Jessica Rabbit speaking in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Number 7, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world that he didn't exist," is from The Usual Suspects. Number 8, "I Am Big, It's the Pictures That Got Small," was Gloria Swanson speaking in Sunset Boulevard. Number 9, "The Beauty That Killed the Beast," well, the beast was King Kong. And number 10 is from possibly one of the most famous films of the 1990s, The Shawshank Redemption. And round 4, I'll tell you about once people have had a chance to send their scores to Linda. And it's another requested round. But it's a little bit different in that I have to ask you a question that you won't see on screen because I can't share the screen and the sound at the same time. So I'll ask you a question before I play each piece of music. And then I'll play the piece of music and you have to answer the specific question that you are being asked about that piece of music. If we're ready, I'll begin this one. And question number 1 is...
The Paisley Buddies have got home. Whoa!
Well done. Right, question number 1. The music I'm going to play you here, which instrument is playing the solo in this work by Sir Edward Elgar? Okay, all you have to do is to identify which instrument was playing that piece. I'll play it a second time just to give you a chance to hear it again. Okay, that's number 1. Which instrument was playing? And number 2, I'm going to play you a piece by the American composer Aaron Copland, a version of which became one of the biggest hits for Emerson, Lake and Palmer in 1977. I want you to tell me the title of the piece. So what is the title of this dramatic piece by the American composer Aaron Copland, a version of which became one of the biggest hits for Emerson, Lake and Palmer in 1977? Okay, again, I'll play it again. What is the title of this piece by Erin Copeland? Okay, what's the title of that piece? For number 3, I'm going to play an operatic aria, which is from an opera by Rossini. I want you to identify which opera this aria comes from.
Presto, bottega, che la paga, presto. La 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 la. Oh, che barbiglie, che bel piacere, per un barbiere, di qualità.
Oh, I don't know if you recognize the singing voice of Luciano Pavarotti there, but again, I'll replay it. Which opera does this aria come from? The composer is Rossini. Okay, what's the opera that aria comes from?
Stop a minute. Stuart, did you have something you wanted to ask?
No, I was just going to comment with the sound quality, I wouldn't have recognized any singer.
Ah, but you can recognize the aria.
Hopefully, time will reveal.
Time will reveal, okay. I hope the sound quality is better for the others then, because I thought it was pretty good in my machine.
It sounds okay to me, Ian.
Thank you. Okay, number 4, I'm going to play you a part of a tone poem written as a nationalist statement on behalf of the country of his birth. Who is the composer? So which composer wrote this tone poem written as a nationalist statement on behalf of the country of his birth? Again, I'll play it again. Who is the composer of this piece? Okay, who's the composer of that one? Number 5, in later years, this melody was given lyrics as the song Stranger in Paradise in the musical Kismet. Originally, however, it is part of the Polovtsian dances in which opera by Alexander Borodin? So from which opera by Borodin did this tune originally come? Again, I'll replay it. One of the Polovtsian dances from which opera by Borodin, later known as Stranger in Paradise? Okay, what's the name of the opera? The next one is about one of the most famous of all composers, surely, which is Mozart. His most famous concertos are for piano and for French horn. This piece is his only concerto for which instrument? So he wrote most of his pieces, his concertos, for either the piano or the French horn. What's this instrument? Again, I'll play it again. This is Mozart's only concerto for this instrument. What is the instrument? Number 7, you can thank Kenny McIsaac from Airheads for this, because my original plan had been to play you Summertime from Porgy and Bess and ask you to identify Porgy and Bess as the opera it came from. But Kenny ran the air quiz on Monday, and the very first question he asked was, from which opera does Summertime come? So I had to replace it. And here we have it. It's one of the best songs written by Gilbert and Sullivan. In which of their operettas does it feature? And I'm going to give a bonus point if anybody can identify the male singer of this piece who is better known for performing in another genre. So your main question is, what's the Gilbert and Sullivan operetta that this song comes from? Bonus point, who's the male singer? Oh, come on. I clicked in the wrong place. Got there now.
I have a song to sing, oh.
Sing me your song, oh.
mocking throng. Oh, it's the song of a merry man moping mum, whose soul was sad and whose glance was glum, who sipped no sup and who craved no crumb, as he sighed for the love of a lady. Heidi, Heidi, misery me, lack-a-day-dee. He sipped no sup and he craved no crumb, as he sighed for the love of a lady.
Played again. Which of the Gilbert and Sullivan operettas? Hang on, something went wrong there. I'll have to restart it. From which of the Gilbert and Sullivan operettas does this one come? And if you can, who's the singer?
I have a song to sing. Oh,
Sing me your song.
this sung to the moon by a lovelorn loon who fled from the mocking throng. Oh, it's the song of a merry man moping mum, whose soul was sad and whose glance was glum, who sipped no sup and who craved no crumb, as he sighed for the love of a lady. Heidi, Heidi, misery me, lack-a-day-dee. He sipped no sup and he craved no crumb, as he sighed for the love of a lady.
Okay, that's number 7. Number 8. Written when the composer was only 17, this overture was later extended to become incidental music for which famous play? So what's the play that this became incidental music for? Written when he was only 17, this was originally an overture to the play, what was later extended to become incidental music for the play. Which play? Okay, which play was that become the incidental music for? Number 9, long before it acquired more familiar lyrics, this melody was written as a tribute to the Austrian Emperor Francis II. The composer liked it enough to include it as the slow movement in this string quartet. Who was the composer? Okay. Started life as a tribute, a song for the Emperor Francis II of Austria, but the composer liked it enough that in the same year, he made it the slow movement of this string quartet. Which composer? Okay, who wrote that piece of music? Familiar now in various versions. And finally, I'm going to play you the fourth movement of the Trout Piano Quintet by an early 19th century Austrian composer. And again, who's the composer? Here it comes. So who's the composer of this piece, the fourth movement of the Trout Quintet by an early 19th century Austrian composer? There we go. So that ends that round. If anyone wants to hear any of the questions again, then please let me know. But I think probably you've heard the music often enough by now.
Can we not have the music to number 7 again? So are we ready for the answers? Anyone want more time before we have the answers? No one's saying so, so here we go. Number 1, the instrument playing the solo in that particular work by Elgar was, of course, the cello, his famous cello concerto. Excuse me. Number 2, the dramatic piece by Aaron Copland, a version of which became a huge hit for Emerson, Lake and Palmer in 1977, and was also used by the BBC to introduce one of their Olympics coverages, was Fanfare for the Common Man by Aaron Copland. Number 3, the aria you heard was Largo al Factotum from The Barber of Seville. Number 4, the tone poem written as a nationalist statement on behalf of the country of his birth, but it came from Finlandia and was written by Jean Sibelius. Number 5, the melody which became Stranger in Paradise was featured in Borodin's opera Prince Igor. Number 6, the Mozart concerto was for the clarinet. Number 7, the Gilbert and Sullivan operetta was Yeoman of the Guard. Anybody want to tell me who they think the singer was?
Anthony Newley.
No, it's not Anthony Newley.
Michael Crawford.
Tommy Steele.
Michael Crawford.
Tommy Steele.
Was it?
Oh,
So if anybody got Tommy Steele, they get a bonus point. It's Tommy Steele, yep.
Well, I was outvoted by my team who said Tommy Steele, but I was convinced it was Anthony Newley.
But you always think it's Anthony Newley.
Well, it's because you've done so many questions about Anthony Newley.
No, it's Tommy Steele. Number 8, the overture that we heard, which became the incidental music for a famous play, was Felix Mendelssohn's A Midsummer Night's Dream, complete with the ee-ah for the donkey. Number 9, the melody that you heard, which of course has become not only the German national anthem, but the hymn tune for Glorious Things of Thee Are Spoken, Zion, City of Our God, was written by Joseph Haydn. And Haydn apparently loved that song, that piece of music so much, he used to play it several times a day in his old age, and it was the very last piece of music he played before he died.
And finally, number 10, the Trout Quintet was written by Franz Schubert. So possible 11 points here if you got Tommy Steele as well. If you could send your scores to Linda, please. Before I move on to yet another request round, I'll need to share the screen afresh here. Once Linda's got all the scores in, are you?
Couple more. One more. Last time I said, oh no, it's in two.
Right. I'll just finish it from there. I'm screen sharing now from that slide. But now we move on to literary authors. Straightforward questioning this time. Literary authors. Number 1, towards the end of his life, which poet, playwright and novelist adopted the name Sebastian Melmoth?
Oh, should know that.
Well, whoever should know that, please mute yourself because we all heard it.
Stuart, I muted him first. The power.
Don't think Eric's muted either.
Oh.
Yes, I was.
That's fine then.
Okay, it just wasn't showing on my screen with the wee red microphone on it. So, towards the end of his life, which poet, playwright, and novelist adopted the name Sebastian Melmoth? Number 2, Ode to Aphrodite is the most famous poem of which ancient Greek poet who is associated with the island of Lesbos? Ode to Aphrodite is the most famous poem of which ancient Greek poet who is associated with the island of Lesbos? Number 3, Michael Morpurgo, author of The War Horse, which was the basis of the 2011 film directed by Steven Spielberg, was the holder of which position between 2003 and 2005? Michael Morpurgo, author of The War Horse, which was the basis of the 2011 film directed by Steven Spielberg, was the holder of which position between 2003 and 2005? Number 4. Which writer created the characters Maggie Tulliver, Dorothea Brooke, and Daniel Deronda? Oh, Douglas has no away to his bookshelves. Which writer created the characters Maggie Tulliver, Dorothea Brooke, and Daniel Deronda?
Number 5. Under what title did Elizabeth Barrett Browning publish her collection of poetry that include the poem that begins, "How do I love thee, let me count the ways"? A somewhat unusual title that she chose for it. Because it implies it's something that's not actually true. Under what title did Elizabeth Barrett Browning publish her collection of poetry that included the poem that begins, "How do I love thee, let me count the ways"? Number 6. What kind of creatures are the central characters in the most famous series of novels by the American author Anne Rice? Number 6. What kind of creatures are the central characters in the most famous series of novels by the American author Anne Rice? Number 7. Which Scottish author wrote a novel based on the real-life Edinburgh character Deacon William Brodie? Number 8. The film Schindler's List was based on the 1982 Booker Prize winning novel Schindler's Ark by which Australian author? The film Schindler's List was based on the 1982 Booker Prize winning novel Schindler's Ark by which Australian author? I don't know why they changed the title from Schindler's Ark to Schindler's List, but there you go. Number 9. Couldn't resist this when I discovered it. Which author is named in the Guinness Book of Records as having written the largest number of novels in a single year, completing 23 of them in 1976? Excuse me. Which author is named in the Guinness Book of Records as having written the largest number of novels in a single year, completing 23 of them in 1976? That's nearly one a fortnight. You can imagine reading a novel a fortnight, but writing a novel a fortnight.
Not all as slow as you. I can read one in a day.
And number 10. Which playwright took 2 minor characters from Hamlet and made them the central characters in the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, as well as writing or co-writing screenplays for the films Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Shakespeare in Love, and Anna Karenina?
And once again, if you'd like to hear a question, just let me know and I'll repeat any question you want.
Oh, he said it was an unusual name. Oh,
Somebody is not muted, is consulting.
Found them.
Good. Any question anyone wants to hear again?
Ian, please could we see question number 5 again?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Under what title did Elizabeth Barrett Browning publish her collection of poetry that included the poem that begins, "How do I love thee, let me count the ways"? And as usual, let me know when you're ready. Any team want more time, or shall I move on to the answers?
Ian, can you just go through them all again, do you think, please?
Sure thing, there we are. Number 1, towards the end of his life, which poet, playwright and novelist adopted the name Sebastian Melmoth? Number 2, Ode to Aphrodite is the most famous poem of which ancient Greek poet who is associated with the island of Lesbos? 3, Michael Morpurgo, author of The War Horse, which was the basis of the 2011 film directed by Steven Spielberg, was the holder of which position between 2003 and 2005? 4, which writer created the characters Maggie Tulliver, Dorothea Brooke, and Daniel Deronda? Number 5, under what title did Elizabeth Barrett Browning publish a collection of poetry that included the poem beginning, "How do I love thee, let me count the ways"? 6, what kind of creatures are the central characters in the most famous series of novels by the American author Anne Rice? 7, which Scottish author wrote a novel based on the real-life Edinburgh character Deacon William Brodie? 8, the film Schindler's List was based on the 1982 Booker Prize-winning novel Schindler's Ark, by which Australian author? Number 9, which author is named in the Guinness Book of Records as having written the largest number of novels in a single year, completing 23 of them in 1976? And finally, which playwright took 2 minor characters from Hamlet and made them the central characters in the play Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead, as well as writing or co-writing screenplays for the films Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Shakespeare in Love, and Anna Karenina? And just to make things clear, there are 5 male authors and 5 female authors represented across these 10 questions.
That will confuse them all together. They'll be
That might really confuse people, yep, but it's true. There are 5 male and 5 female authors represented. I like to be fair.
Want to see the results to point to that?
Right, while we're waiting for teams to tell me that they're ready, I shall stop my share and allow Linda, if I can get a cursor to the right place, let Linda share with you the scores so far. Oh, Causeway have leapt into the lead.
I think it's a very interesting set of results, actually, because they are really varied between a team, you know,
Yeah.
within the different rounds. You're challenging them across.
Some teams have done very well in one round, some teams have done very well in another.
But they've done well in one and then rubbish in the next. Sorry.
Quite have phrased it that way there, however. There we are. I trust that those were, as you remembered, sending them to Linda. Right, are we ready for the answers to round 5 then? Well, here they are anyway. Number 1, this author, the poet, playwright, and novelist was none other than Oscar Wilde. Number 2, the Greek poet or poetess was Sappho, S-A-P-P-H-O. Number 3, Michael Morpurgo held the post of Children's Laureate between 2003 and 2005. Number 4, these characters were created by George Eliot. Maggie Tulliver from The Mill and the Floss, Dorothea Brooke from Middlemarch, and Daniel Deronda the book was named after him. Number 5, Elizabeth Barrett Browning took the name Sonnets from the Portuguese for the title of her book, which was misleading because they were not from the Portuguese, they were out of her own brain. Number 6, the kind of creatures featured in Anne Rice's books are vampires. Interview with the Vampire, possibly the most famous. Number 7, well, Robert Louis Stevenson wrote Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde based on Deacon Brodie. Number 8, the Australian author was Thomas Keneally. Number 9, to no one's great surprise, perhaps, the author named in the Guinness Book of Records as having written the largest number of novels in one year is Barbara Cartland. And number 10, the playwright who took these characters and made the play and then was a screenplay writer as well, is Tom Stoppard. So if you could please again send Linda your scores, and I'll get her to share the updated scores. We'll have a wee pause, let her get the updated scores, and then we'll do the final round, which as always is general knowledge. So we've had 4 rounds so far, which are rounds that people requested. I do hope that they feel that I did their requests reasonable justice. And we'll just wait for Linda to get the scores coming in and add them to her spreadsheet, and we'll find out where we are as we go into the last round. One of these days I may get to use the tie-break question that I've had sitting waiting for months. And there have been 1 or 2 occasions when I thought it was going to be necessary, but it hasn't been yet.
Just waiting on Paisley.
Linda's still waiting for Paisley's score. I think she now has it. She's typing furiously.
No, I haven't.
Oh no, still not got the Paisley score. Okay. Getting the rest entered in then.
I'll go back and check. Yep. Right.
Okay.
2 seconds. Let's put that one in.
And here come the scores after 5 rounds. Causeway still ahead, West Lothian second, Ayr third, Dagenham fourth.
Can you check as well that I've got them right?
Yeah, please check and let Linda know if she has misconstrued any of your scores.
Okay.
Seems to be. And so I shall restart sharing my screen. So general knowledge round, final round, here we go. Number one, Dave Myers and Simon King are known by what collective name on television? By the way, this is a very, very mixed general knowledge round. It's as general as you get. So Dave Myers and Simon King are known by what collective name on television? Number two, born in Crete, but active both in Italy and especially in Toledo in Spain, by what name is the 16th century artist Domenikos Theotokopoulos better known?
Any basis.
Born in Crete, but active both in Italy and especially in Toledo in Spain, by what name is the 16th century? Somebody is not muted and therefore is sharing their thoughts with us.
I sorted it.
Linda sorted it, right? By what name is the 16th century artist Domenikos Theotokopoulos better known? Number three. Factorize the mathematical function 12x squared plus 5x minus 28. I'll give you a moment or two to do that one. Just thought I'd slip a wee quadratic in there for you. Still carry on doing that, but I'll give you the next question. What type of bird is the kakapo found in New Zealand? Number 5, what vegetable stew commonly including aubergine, peppers, courgette, onions, garlic, tomatoes, and herbs, is native to Provence in southern France? What vegetable stew, commonly including aubergine, peppers, courgette, onions, garlic, tomatoes, and herbs, is native to Provence in southern France? Linda serves me her own version of this along with sea bass, and it's lovely. Number 6. Where on your body might you find your trachyon? And I've used the word might for a reason. Where on your body might you find your trachyon? Number 7. Kabaddi, a team sport in which an attacking player called a raider runs into the opposition half and tries to tag as many opponents as possible and return without being tackled, is the official national sport of which Commonwealth country? Just to let you know, while he's doing this, the raider has to keep shouting Kabaddi, 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 Kabaddi to prove that he's done the whole thing on one breath. So Kabaddi, a team sport in which an attacking player called a raider runs into the opposition half and tries to tag as many opponents as possible and return without being tackled, is the official national sport of which Commonwealth country? Number 8. On resigning from the Friars Club of Beverly Hills, which comedian sent a telegram to explain his decision, which read, "I don't want to belong to any club that will accept me as a member"? So on resigning from the Friars Club of Beverly Hills, which comedian or comedy actor sent a telegram to explain his decision, which read, "I don't want to belong to any club that will accept me as a member"? Number 9, who played the role of Charlene Mitchell on television? Who played the role of Charlene Mitchell on television? And finally, number 10, Portugal is responsible for more than half of the world's production of which substance that comes from the tree Quercus suber? If anyone wants to hear and see a question again, let me know, please.
Yeah. Ian, can I have quite a few? Because unfortunately what happened is my screen started flashing, and the only thing I can do when that happens is just completely switch off and come back in again.
I'll just run through the whole 10 for you then, Anne.
Thanks.
Number 1, Dave Myers and Simon King are known by what collective name on television? Number 2, born in Crete but active both in Italy and especially in Toledo in Spain, by what name is the 16th century Domenicos Theotokopoulos better known? Number 3, factorize the mathematical function 12x squared plus 5x minus 28. Number 4, what type of bird is the kakapo found in New Zealand? Five is what vegetable stew, commonly including aubergine, peppers, courgettes, onions, garlic, tomatoes and herbs, is native to Provence in southern France? Number 6, where on your body might you find your tachyon? Some of you will, some of you may not.
You must have been stuck. You must have been stuck with something to do.
Number 7, kabaddi, a team sport in which an attacking player called a raider runs into the opposition half and tries to tag as many opponents as possible and return without being tackled, is the official national sport of which Commonwealth country? Number 8, on resigning from the Friars Club of Beverly Hills, which comedian or comedy actor sent a telegram to explain his decision, which read, "I don't want to belong to any club that will accept me as a member"? Number 9, who played the role of Charlene Mitchell on television? And 10, Portugal is responsible for more than half of the world's production of which substance that comes from the tree Quercus suber? A production which is now somewhat under threat given a change in certain industrial practices. So, are we ready for...
Yeah, thank you, Ian.
No bother. Ready for the answers then? Well, Dave Myers and Simon King are better known as the Hairy Bikers. Number 2, born in Crete, Domenicos Theotokopoulos is better known as El Greco. Number 3, the mathematical function 12x squared plus 5x minus 28 will factorize as two lots within brackets 4x plus 7 times 3x minus 4. Number 4, the kakapo or kakapo is a parrot, a type of parrot. Number 5, we have here, well, a film has been named after it. It's Ratatouille. Number 6, I haven't got one anymore. The tachyon is found just about there. It's in where your hairline meets the center of your forehead. Number 7, kabaddi is the official national sport of Bangladesh, though apparently the world champions in it are India. Number 8, I bet lots of people guessed that this one is Groucho Marx.
Number 9, that was Kylie Minogue, who played Charlene Mitchell, later Charlene Robinson, when she married the character played by Jason Donovan. And 10, Portugal is responsible for more than half of the world's production of cork, which comes from the bark of the tree Quercus suber. So, there we have the final question. So again, please send your answers to Linda, or your scores rather to Linda, and we'll see what the final scores are. It's taken a bit longer than usual for some reason this month. Maybe we're replaying a few things more than usual.
Well, you did have all those songs.
Did have the sound round to play, yeah. However, I hope it hasn't taken up too much of your evening, that you've enjoyed it anyhow.
Feel free to unmute. And
Yeah, feel free to unmute and chat now. We're okay. And I'm all agog whether I'm going to have to use my tiebreak question or not.
no, Stuart liked your quiz. Read the chat.
Well, don't use your tie-break question for our account.
You think you've caught up then, Kenny?
No, not unless we scored 13 in the last round, and I don't think we did.
Well, you think other people are going to score 10 as well, do you?
We're going to get near it. It'll be 10. I think 10's almost certain, actually, but they'll definitely get 9, which is, I think, where roughly we were. The Kabaddi got us.
The Kabaddi got you, did it?
We went for India.
Well, apparently they are the world champions, but it's the official national sport of Bangladesh.
Yeah, I think India's is cricket, but of course some countries have more than one national sport.
True. Canada has 2, one for the summer and one for the winter. Ice hockey and lacrosse.
Does Pakistan get any marks?
I'm afraid not, because Pakistan is not Bangladesh.
Not
In fact, Bangladeshis would be quite upset at such a thought.
Not since 1974.
Indeed.
That's not that long ago.
40 years ago.
Yeah.
No, nearly 40. Not quite 40.
Here we are. Here are the final scores. Oh, and a narrow win for Causeway over West Lothian. Well played, both of you.
Oh, look. Ayr is third again.
Ayr third again. Dagenham 4th. Dunelm 5th.
Good grief.
And again, some pretty high scores. 52 out of 60, well, like technically 61 with the bonus question, but nonetheless, it is a very high score.
And I thought you said you were going to have to use your tie break there. So
well, I was wondering whether I would have to, but in fact, it's not quite necessary, because Causeway, who won the first at least 2, maybe 3 quizzes that we had, are back in the top again. But West Lothian, I think that's the highest you've achieved so far.
It is. We were, I think, joint third we were one time, but this is the highest, definitely. Yeah.
Well, second place is a very creditable effort, and quite a number of 10 out of 10s for various rounds. So well done, everybody. There are no catastrophe scores.
Even for the people stuck on the M80.
Even for the people stuck on the M80, yeah.
Didn't help.
Because everybody's got at least around half marks, and I usually like to regard that as a sort of baseline, that everybody's going to score about half marks or better. And I like that the winners score at least 70–75%, and actually our first and second teams are over 80%, so that's very good.
Good.
So I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope the people who sent me ideas for rounds, as I say, feel that I did their rounds justice. There will be more. If anyone has any further request rounds, then please send us.
How about the periodic table?
Other things you would like, and there are still 1 or 2 left from the last lot. So we can in July there'll be 1 or 2 more rounds that are already requested, and the July should be on the 28th. I think it is. I think the Wednesday is the 28th of July.
Yes, that would be right, because the 1st is tomorrow.
Yep. So 28th of July is our next date. And thank you all very much for coming. I hope you enjoyed your evening.
Yes, thank you.
Well done.
I think I enjoyed it, apart from losing the screen for a bit.
Well, that's a shame, but at least you got it back.
Oh,
well, as I said, I have to switch off to do it. But
Thank you,
switch
Ian
off
and
the phone,
Linda.
Douglas.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Ian, how about around in the periodic table?
Definitely not. At least not the kind that you gave us on Monday. That's a sure thing.
Thank you, Ian. I know nothing.
Why
If
not?
I didn't watch Pointless, I would never have heard of the periodic table.
Yeah, quite. You want to see what Kenny did to us on Monday. What Kenny did was he showed us a photograph of the periodic table with some of the elements blanked out, and we had to identify the elements.
Oh, God.
No problem.
Yeah, it was no problem for Douglas because he knows it by heart, but all the rest of us were struggling. I got 4 out of the 10.
The marks went
lucky if I
from
got
1
one.
till 10, which is a little extreme, a bit too big a spread, really. Yeah, I think I'll shelve that idea.
Right.
For the future.
Oh, Kenny.
Right,
I mean,
okay
you
then.
got-
Bye.
Between Kenny and his periodic table and Douglas and his flags, we have obsessions around here.
There's nothing wrong with it anyway, Kenny, because
I've only
it's
done
the
one
whole
once.
point about-
No,
Once.
I do realise that the way I did it, I mean, I think there's nothing wrong with around in the periodic table, but I think, yeah, that probably
It was a bit challenging, Kenny. It was a bit challenging.
It was a bit too far, yeah.
But it
No, it
caused
wasn't.
lots of hilarity and chat. So I mean, there's the social.
Oh, well, there is that, yes.
Oh, it did serve a social purpose, no doubt about it. The amount of winding up that was going on was terrific.
Especially if Douglas, sad, knows.
Yeah,
that you're
because
not
that would just suited him, yeah.
I was happy. I wasn't sad.
Oh, it won you the quiz.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that would be the deciding one this time, definitely. Absolutely that round. Certainly, yeah. So I'll bear Matt in the mind for the future because I was thinking actually, of course, I've got the full table, so I can blank out any 10 at any point. We can do the same thing again.
Oh no, please not.
Well, if you
Especially
do
at
that,
the bottom row.
if you do that, I might just enter the score of 0 without even trying.
Well, yeah, and unfortunately,
I
yeah,
know that.
there are some rounds you get like that. You think I don't want to. I mean, I find the classical ones very hard, but not impossible, and you'll get something in them. But
Well, the one that the request that I had from somebody to do a classical music round today, I took as a very good excuse to play some of my favourite pieces of music.
oh, absolutely, yeah. The
There
two
was
classical bits I played Monday are bits that I like. You
There
know,
was something
especially-
odd going on with the sound there because several of my team reported the same problem that I had, that the sound was very distorted. Then it got a lot better, and then suddenly it went away again. So
Yeah, I think that sounds like one of these communication things that we really have got no control over.
Yeah.
Aye.